The morning sun cast long shadows across the main square of New Busan. General Kim Tae-ho stood on the wooden platform, his hands tied behind his back. Around him, thousands of people watched in silence. Some cried, others looked angry, but all of them stayed quiet. The Dominion soldiers wore their black armor and carried big energy weapons. They looked mean and scary. Their leader, Commander Zulthak, stood tall with his 4 arms crossed. His skin was gray like stone, and his eyes were red like fire. People of this world, Commander Zulthak spoke through a voice machine that made his words loud. Today, you will see what happens to those who fight the Dominion Empire. This human thought he could say no to us. He was wrong. General Kim Tae-ho was 55 years old. He had gray hair and kind eyes. He wore his old military uniform, the same one he wore when he fought in the border wars 20 years ago. The uniform was clean but had patches where bullets had hit it. Long ago in the crowd, his daughter Park So-jin watched her father. She was 30 years old and worked as a military planner. Her eyes were full of tears, but she did not look away. Next to her stood Admiral Lee Dong-wook, her father's best friend. His face was red with anger. "This is wrong," Admiral Lee whispered to So-jin. "Your father is a good man. He only wanted to protect our people." So-jin nodded, but said nothing. She knew her father would not want her to cry in front of the enemy. 3 months ago, the Dominion Empire had come to their world. They said all human colonies must pay new taxes. The taxes were very high. Many families would not have enough food if they paid. General Kim Tae-ho was the leader of the planet's defense force. He went to meet with the Dominion officials. He was polite but firm. "We cannot pay these taxes," he had said. "Our people will die if we give you so much money." The Dominion commander had laughed. "Then you choose death instead of taxes. We do not care which one. We choose to fight," General Kim had answered. That was his mistake. According to the Dominion, fighting back was not allowed. Only obedience was permitted. The battle lasted 2 weeks. The humans fought hard, but the Dominion had bigger ships and more soldiers. In the end, General Kim surrendered to save his people from more death. Now he stood on the platform, waiting to die. Commander Zulthak walked up to the general. "Do you have any last words, human?" General Kim looked out at the crowd. He saw his daughter, he saw his friends, he saw his people, farmers, workers, teachers, children, all of them looking at him. "Yes," he said in a clear voice, "I have words." The commander nodded. "Speak quickly." General Kim took a deep breath. "My people, I want you to remember this day. Remember that we are not slaves, we are human beings. We have the right to be free." Some people in the crowd started to cry louder. Others looked more angry. "The Dominion thinks we are weak," the general continued. "They think we will give up and obey them forever. But they are wrong. We are stronger than they know. We will not forget, we will not forgive, and someday we will be free." Commander Zulthak looked annoyed. "Enough talking. It is time." He pulled out his weapon, a long curved blade that glowed with blue energy. The Dominion liked to kill important prisoners with old weapons. They said it was more honorable than shooting them. General Kim closed his eyes and thought about his wife, who had died 5 years ago. Soon he would see her again. He thought about his daughter and hoped she would be safe. He thought about his people and hoped they would remember his words. The blade came down fast. It was over in 1 second. The crowd was silent for a moment. Then someone screamed. Then more people screamed. Some tried to run toward the platform, but the soldiers stopped them with their weapons. Commander Zulthak held up his hand for quiet. "Let this be a lesson to all humans. The Dominion Empire does not show mercy to rebels. Obey us, and you will live. Fight us, and you will die." He looked around at the crowd. "Now go back to your homes. Think about what you have seen. Choose." Wisely, the soldiers started to leave. The crowd began to break up, but they moved slowly. Many people were still crying. Others looked very angry. Park So-jin stood still, looking at the platform where her father had died. Admiral Lee put his hand on her shoulder. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. She turned to look at him. Her eyes were not crying anymore. They looked hard and cold. "They made a mistake," she said. "What do you mean?" "They think killing my father will make us afraid. They think we will give up now." She looked back at the platform. "They are wrong." Admiral Lee nodded slowly. "What do you want to do?" "I want to send a message to every human world," Sojin said. "I want them to know what happened. Here, I want them to know that the Dominion thinks they can kill us, and we will do nothing." "That could be dangerous," Admiral Lee said, "if the Dominion finds out." "Let them find out," Sojin said. Her voice was getting stronger. "Let them know that humans do not forget. Let them know that they just made the biggest mistake in their history." That night, while the Dominion soldiers slept, messages went out from New Busan. They went to every human colony in the galaxy. The messages were simple and short. "General Kim Tae-ho is dead. The Dominion killed him for protecting his people. They think we will be afraid now. They think we will obey them. They are wrong. It is time to show them what humans can do when they get angry. It is time to fight back." The messages reached 47 human worlds. On each world, people read the words and felt the same anger that Sojin felt. They remembered their own problems with the Dominion. They remembered their own friends and family who had suffered, and they began to plan. The Dominion thought they had solved their human problem by killing one general. They thought the execution would make all humans more obedient. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In the weeks that followed, strange things began to happen across human space. Mining equipment disappeared from storage areas. Cargo ships changed their routes without explanation. Military officers took vacation time and never came back to work. The Dominion noticed these small problems, but they were not worried. Humans were weak and disorganized. A few missing tools and ships meant nothing. Commander Zulthok got reports about these incidents, but he threw them away. "Humans are like children," he told his officers. "They break things when they are upset. It will pass." He was wrong. The humans were not breaking things randomly. They were preparing for war. General Kim Tae-ho had been right about one thing. The Dominion had made a mistake. They had killed the wrong man in front of the wrong people at the wrong time. Soon, they would learn the price of that mistake. The execution was over, but the real story was just beginning. 6 months had passed since General Kim Tae-ho died on New Busan Commander. Zulthak thought the humans had learned their lesson. He was sitting in his office, drinking his morning tea, when his aide rushed in. "Sir, we have a problem." The aide said his name was Captain Mordick, and he looked very worried. "What kind of problem?" Zulthak asked. He did not look up from his reports. "The humans, sir. They are doing things." Now Zulich looked up. "What things?" Captain Mordick put a data pad on the desk. "In the last week, we lost 3 supply convoys. Our mining station on Kepler 438 went silent, and someone destroyed our communication tower on New Seoul." Zul frowned. "Pirates' equipment failure." "No, sir. These were attacks. Planned attacks. The humans are fighting back." Zulthok stood up fast. His red eyes got brighter. "Impossible. We killed their leader. We showed them our power. They should be afraid." "Sir, I think we made them angry instead." On the planet New Seoul, Choi Min-ho was no longer a mining engineer. 6 months ago, he had worked in the deep mines, digging for rare metals. Now he was something else, a leader of fighters who called themselves the Terran Liberation Front. Min-ho was 42 years old, tall and strong from years of hard work. His hands were rough and his face was serious. Around him, 20 other miners sat in a hidden cave deep underground. They were planning their next attack. "The Dominion ship will come tomorrow morning," Min-ho said, pointing at a map on the wall. "It always follows the same path, from the spaceport to the mining facility and back." "How many guards?" asked Park Kung-ho, a young man who used to fix mining machines. "Usually 6 soldiers, but they will have heavy weapons." Min-ho looked around at his people. "Are you ready for this?" Everyone nodded. They had been practicing for months. What started as anger after General Kim's death had become something stronger. Organized resistance. Member Min-ho said, "Are not trying to kill everyone. We want their weapons and supplies, but if they fight back, we fight harder." The next morning, the Dominion transport ship flew over the mountains toward the mining facility. Inside, 6 soldiers laughed and talked about their easy assignment. Earth colonies were quiet and peaceful. Nothing ever happened here. They were wrong. The ship was flying through a narrow valley when the engines suddenly stopped working. The pilot tried to restart them, but nothing happened. The ship started falling toward the ground. "Emergency landing," the pilot shouted. The ship crashed into a field with a loud noise. Smoke came out of the engines. The soldiers inside were shaken but not hurt. "What happened?" the squad leader asked. "I don't know," the pilot said. "The engines just died." They opened the ship's door and stepped outside. The field looked empty and quiet. Too quiet. "I don't like this," one soldier said. "Something feels wrong." He was right. Hidden in the rocks around the field, 20 humans waited with mining tools turned into weapons. They had used a small device to stop the ship's engines, a device made by Dr. Yoon Hae-won, a human scientist who used to work for the Dominion. Dr. Yoon was 38 years old and very smart. She had studied Dominion technology for years. After General Kim died, she decided to use that knowledge against her former masters. Now, Min-ho whispered into his radio, the humans attacked from all sides. They moved fast and worked together like they had practiced many times. The Dominion soldiers were surprised and confused. The fight lasted only 5 minutes. When it was over, all 6 soldiers were captured. Their weapons and supplies belonged to the humans now. "Take them to the cave," Min-ho ordered. "Treat their wounds, but keep them tied up." One of the soldiers looked at him with surprise. "You are not going to kill us?" Min-ho shook his head. "We are not like you. We do not kill prisoners. But you attacked us. You are rebels. We are people fighting for our freedom," Min-ho said. "There is a difference." Far away, on the planet New Tokyo, Captain Kong Su-ben was having similar success. She used to pilot cargo ships for the Dominion. Now she used those same ships to attack Dominion outposts. Su-ben was 35 years old, with short black hair and quick eyes. She knew how to fly better than almost anyone in human space. Her ship looked like a normal cargo vessel, but hidden inside were weapons and fighters. "Target coming into range," her co-pilot said. His name was Lee Jun-ho, and he used to be a mechanic. Through the window, they could see a small Dominion station floating in space. It was supposed to watch this area and report any problems. Soon, it would have a very big problem. "Begin the attack," Su-ben ordered. Her ship suddenly accelerated toward the station. The Dominion guards were not ready. They thought it was just another cargo delivery. By the time they realized their mistake, it was too late. Su-ben's ship fired its hidden weapons and destroyed the station's shields. Then human fighters came out of the cargo hold and boarded the station. "Station secured," came the report. "No casualties on our side." Su-ben smiled. "Good work, everyone. Take everything useful and set charges. We need to go before their patrol." Ships arrive. Su-ben's ship was already far away, heading to its next target. These attacks were happening all across human space. On New Busan, General Lim Jae-hyun was organizing the largest group of fighters. He had been General Kim's best lieutenant and knew how to plan military operations. Jo-hyun was 50 years old, with gray hair and sad eyes. He blamed himself for not saving his friend. Now he worked day and night to honor General Kim's memory. "How many groups do we have now?" he asked his aide. 47, sir. "One on every human world. They all follow the same plan and supplies, getting better every day. Every attack gives us more weapons and equipment. The Dominion's own supplies are becoming our supplies." Jae-hyun nodded. This was exactly what General Kim would have wanted. Not random violence, but organized resistance with clear goals. "Send a message to all group leaders," he said. "Phase 2 begins tomorrow." "What is Phase 2, sir?" "We stop hiding," Jae-hyun said. "It is time to show the Dominion that we are not just angry farmers and miners. We are an army." Back on the Dominion command ship, Commander Zulthok was no longer drinking tea calmly. Reports of attacks came in every hour. His superior, Admiral Kreshtar, was asking difficult questions. "How many ships have we lost?" Admiral Kreshtar asked through the communication screen. 15, sir. But they were mostly small vessels. "And how many facilities?" Zulthok looked uncomfortable. 23, sir. "In 6 months?" "Yes, sir, Admiral." Kreshtar's face got darker. "Commander, when you killed that human general, you told me it would solve our problems with these colonists." "Sir, I believed it would. Humans are supposed to be weak and cowardly. Weak and cowardly species do not destroy 23 of our facilities." Admiral Kreshtar shouted. "They do not capture our weapons and use them against us. Sir, I request more troops. With a larger force, I can crush this rebellion quickly." Admiral Kreshtar was quiet for a moment. "Very well. You will have 3 more battle groups. But, Commander, if you fail again, you will join that human general." The communication ended. Zulthok sat alone in his office, looking worried. Maybe he had made a mistake when he killed General Kim. Maybe the humans were more dangerous than he thought. He was right to be worried. Across human space, 47 groups of fighters were preparing for war. They had weapons now. They had experience. Most importantly, they had something the Dominion could never understand: the burning desire for revenge. General Kim Tae-ho was dead. But his daughter Park Sojin was very much alive, and she was about to show the galaxy what happened when you made humans angry. The awakening had begun. Admiral Kreshtar's S3 battle groups arrived at human space like a storm of metal and fire. 150 ships, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. The Dominion was done playing games. Operation Iron Fist begins now. Admiral Kreshtar announced to his fleet commanders, "We will crush these human insects once and for all." But the humans were ready. Park Sojin, now 31 years old, stood in the command center on New Busan. She wore her father's old uniform and carried his medals. Around her, dozens of screens showed the approaching enemy fleet. "They think we are still the same people they fought 6 months ago," she said to Admiral Lee Dong-wook. "They are wrong." Lee smiled grimly. "Your father would be proud. You have become a great commander." Sojin had learned much in the past months. She studied every battle report, every enemy weakness. She knew the Dominion ships were powerful, but they were also slow and predictable. "Send the signal," she ordered. "All units, begin the dance." The dance was Sojin's name for the human fighting style. Instead of meeting the enemy head-on, human ships would strike fast and disappear. They were like mosquitoes attacking a giant, small, quick, and very annoying. The first attack came near the planet New Sol, Captain Kong. Suben led 20 small ships against a Dominion cruiser. The enemy ship was 10 times bigger, but it could not catch the quick human vessels. "Fire at the engines," Subin ordered. "Then run before they can shoot back." Her ships darted in like angry bees. They fired their weapons and damaged the cruiser's engines. Before the big ship could respond, the human ships were gone. "Where did they go?" the Dominion captain shouted. His answer came from behind. More human ships attacked the cruiser's rear. Then they vanished again. This happened over and over. The Dominion ships became confused and angry. They fired their big guns at empty space while the humans laughed and attacked from new directions. Dr. Yoon Haewon watched the battle from her laboratory. She had been working on a special project, a way to turn the Dominion's own shields against them. "The frequency is ready," she told her assistant. "Send it to all our ships." Within minutes, every human vessel received the new weapon data. Now they could make Dominion shields fail with one shot. What had been difficult fights became easy victories. Admiral Kreshtar could not believe what he was seeing. "How are they doing this? These are primitive colonists." "Sir," his aide said nervously, "maybe they are not as primitive as we thought." "Impossible," Kreshtar shouted. "Increase the attack. Send more ships." But sending more ships only gave the humans more targets. Colonel Nem Ji-hoon led special teams that boarded enemy vessels. They moved through the ships like ghosts, capturing important information and destroying key systems. Nam was 39 years old and very good at fighting in small spaces. He had trained his teams to work together perfectly. They could take control of a Dominion ship in less than 10 minutes. "Bridge secured," Nam reported during one mission. "We have their navigation data." "Excellent," Sojin replied. "Now we know where all their ships are going." This was the key to human success. They were not just fighting, they were learning. Every battle taught them more about Dominion technology and tactics. Soon they knew the enemy better than the enemy knew themselves. The battle for New Sol lasted 3 days. When it ended, the Dominion had lost 30 ships. The humans had lost only 5. Admiral Kreshtar stared at the reports, in shock. "This cannot be happening. We have the bigger fleet, we have the better weapons." "Sir," his aide said quietly, "maybe weapons are not everything." "What do you mean?" The humans fight like they have nothing to lose. Our soldiers fight because they have to. There is a difference. Kreshtar did not want to hear this, but deep down he knew it was true. News of human victories traveled fast across the galaxy. In the Altarian system, President Valandra watched the reports with growing excitement. "Look at this," she said to her council. "The humans defeated a Dominion battle group. If they can do it, so can we." The Altarians had been slaves to the Dominion for 50 years. They were blue-skinned people with 4 arms and very good memories. They remembered every cruel thing the Dominion had done to them. "But we are not warriors like the humans," one council member said. "No," Valandra agreed. "But we are engineers. We can build things the Dominion needs, and we can stop building them within a week." Every Dominion facility in Altarian space went quiet. The factories stopped working. The power stations shut down. The repair yards closed. The Dominion had always taken Altarian cooperation for granted. Now they learned what happened when that cooperation ended. In the vegan system, the collective chose a different path. They were a species of plant people who could communicate without words. They decided to use their special abilities against the Dominion. "We will be their eyes and ears no more," the collective announced. "Instead, we will be blind and deaf to their words." Dominion commanders in vegan space suddenly found themselves isolated. Their communications failed. Their sensors stopped working. They could not call for help or report what was happening. The Centauri clans, a group of proud warrior people, chose the most direct approach. They simply declared war on the Dominion and began attacking everything they could find. "The humans have shown us the way," clan leader Toranak announced. "It is time to take back what is ours." All across the galaxy, the rebellion was spreading. Ambassador Oh Young-min, a human diplomat, worked to coordinate the different species. "We are stronger together," she told the alien leaders. "The Dominion has made enemies of us all. Now we must be friends to each other." Oh was 45 years old and very good at talking to different kinds of people. She had spent her life learning about alien cultures. Now she used that knowledge to build the largest alliance in galactic history. General Bei Hyanwu commanded the first mixed fleet of human and alien ships. He was 53 years old and had learned to work with many different species. "The Altarians will handle our engineering," he explained to his officers. "The vegans will manage our communications. The Centauri will lead our assault troops. And we humans will coordinate everything." "Will this work?" asked Captain Kim Hyun-jae, a young human officer. "It has to work," Bei replied. "We are fighting not just for our own freedom, but for the freedom of the entire galaxy." The first battle of the Allied fleet took place near the Dominion mining world of Zirian Prime. General Bei commanded 200 ships from 6 different species. "All units, this is General Bei," he announced. "Today we fight not as humans, Altarians, vegans, or Centauri. Today we fight as free people against oppression." The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships used their speed and tactics. Altarian vessels employed their advanced technology. Vegan ships communicated instantly without radio. Centauri warriors fought with incredible courage. The Dominion forces were completely overwhelmed. They had trained to fight one species at a time. They had no idea how to handle an alliance of different peoples working together. "Retreat," the Dominion commander ordered. "Fall back to the core systems." But there was nowhere to run. The rebellion had spread to 17 different systems. Everywhere the Dominion looked, they saw enemies. Empress Na Yunji, the new human political leader, addressed the galaxy from her headquarters on New Busan. "People of the galaxy," she said, "for too long we have lived under the boot of the Dominion Empire. They have taken our freedom, our resources, and our dignity. But no more." Na was 37 years old and had been a teacher before the war. She knew how to speak to people's hearts. "Today we stand together, human, Altarian, vegan, Centauri, and many others. We are no longer separate species. We are one people, united in our desire for freedom." Her words were broadcast across the galaxy. On every world, people heard the message and felt hope for the first time in decades. The Dominion Empire, which had ruled for over 1,000 years, was falling apart, and it was happening faster than anyone had thought possible. Emperor Vextar sat in his palace, surrounded by reports of defeat and rebellion. He was old and tired, but still filled with rage. How did this happen? He demanded. One dead. Human general caused all of this. His advisors had no good answers. They had underestimated their enemies, and now they were paying the price. Sir, one advisor said carefully, perhaps we should consider negotiations. Never, Vextar roared. I will not negotiate with rebels and slaves. If they want war, they will have war. The Emperor made a decision that would seal his fate. He ordered the deployment of the planet killer weapons. If we cannot rule the galaxy, he said, then no one can. The planet killer weapons were the Dominion's most terrible secret. They were massive ships that could destroy entire worlds with one shot. The Emperor had kept them hidden for emergencies. Now he decided that the rebellion was that emergency. Target the human homeworlds first, he ordered. Destroy New Busan, New Seoul, and New Tokyo. Show the galaxy what happens to those who defy us. Fleet Admiral Park So-jin received the intelligence report while planning her next attack. News made her blood freeze. How long do we have? She asked Admiral Lee Dongwook. The planet killers are 3 days away from New Busan, he replied. Sir, we need to evacuate the planet. So-jin shook her head. No, if we run, we look weak. If we look weak, our allies will lose hope. Then what do you suggest? We destroy the planet killers before they can fire. Lee stared at her. So-jin, those ships are heavily defended. It would be suicide. Maybe, she said, but it would be a death with honor. And if we succeed, we save millions of lives. President Kim Soo-hyun, the human leader, agreed with So-jin's plan. He was 60 years old and had been a factory manager. Before the war, he knew about taking big risks. The entire galaxy is watching, he said. If we show courage now, others will follow our example. The plan was simple, but dangerous. Every human ship would attack the planet killers at the same time. They would ignore the escort vessels and focus on the big targets. We get one chance, So-jin told her fleet commanders. If we fail, our worlds die. If we succeed, we win the war. The battle took place in the space between New Busan and its moon. The planet killer ships were enormous. Each one was the size of a small city. They were surrounded by hundreds of escort vessels. All units begin the attack, So-jin ordered. The human fleet charged forward like a wave of metal and fire. They flew straight at the planet killers. Ignoring the defensive fire that filled the space around them, Captain Song Min-ho led a group of fast attack ships. He was 28 years old and the best pilot in the human fleet. His job was to get close, enough to the planet killers to plant explosive charges. Follow me, he told his squadron. We're going to thread the needle. His ships flew through the defensive fire like dancers. Explosions bloomed around them, but they kept going. Several ships were destroyed, but the others pressed on. Target in range, Song announced, beginning attack run. His ship dove toward the planet killer's surface. The huge vessel tried to shoot him down, but he was too fast and too skilled. He planted his charges and pulled away just as they exploded. The planet killers shuddered, but did not die. It would take more than one attack to destroy such a massive ship. All squadrons focus on the weapon systems, So-jin ordered. If we can't destroy them, we can at least stop them from firing. The battle raged for 6 hours. Human ships attacked, again and again, taking heavy losses but never giving up. They were fighting for their homes, their families, their very existence. General An Song-ho led the boarding parties that tried to capture the planet killers from the inside. He was 46 years old and had been a police officer before the war. Remember, he told his troops, we're not just fighting for victory, we're fighting for the right to exist. His soldiers fought their way through the corridors of the planet killer ships. The Dominion defenders were skilled, but they were not fighting for their homes. They were just following orders. There is a big difference between those two things, Commander. Ru Da-yoon flew the mission that ended the battle. She was 33 years old and had lost her entire family to the Dominion. She volunteered for the most dangerous job, flying her ship directly into the planet killer's main weapon. This is for my family, she said into her radio. And for General Kim Tae-ho, her ship accelerated toward the massive weapon. The Dominion tried to stop her, but she was determined to succeed. Her ship crashed into the weapons core and exploded. The planet killer died in a ball of fire that could be seen from the surface of New Busan. When the battle ended, all 3 planet killers were destroyed. The human fleet had lost half its ships, but they had won the most important victory in the war. News of the battle spread across the galaxy in hours. Every species that had been watching the conflict suddenly understood something important. The humans could not be defeated. They understood that the Dominion could be defeated. Within days, 12 more species joined the rebellion. The Alliance fleet grew from hundreds of ships to thousands. Emperor Vextar received the news in his throne room. For the first time in his long life, he felt real fear. "The planet killers are gone," he asked. "Yes, sir. All 3 were destroyed. And the humans, they are regrouping. Intelligence suggests they are preparing for a final attack." The emperor was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke in a voice that was barely a whisper. "I have made a terrible mistake." 1 year after General Kim Tae-ho's execution, his daughter stood in the same square where he had died. But everything was different now. The wooden platform was gone. In its place stood a memorial made of black stone, with her father's name carved in letters of gold. Around the memorial, thousands of people had gathered. Not just humans, but Altarians, vegans, Centauri, and many other species. Supreme Admiral Park Sojin, now 32 years old, wore a new uniform. It was not the uniform of any single species, but the uniform of the Galactic Liberation Alliance. On her chest were medals from a dozen different worlds. "My father died on this spot," she said to the crowd. Her voice was carried by speakers to every corner of the square, and by radio to every world in the galaxy. The Dominion killed him because he refused to let his people live as slaves. They thought his death would make us afraid. They thought we would give up and obey them. She paused and looked at the memorial. They were wrong about everything. The crowd cheered. In the front row, Admiral Kim Hyojin wiped tears from her eyes. She was General Kim's widow and now commanded the Galactic Peacekeeping Forces. "The war is over," Sojin continued. "The Dominion Empire is gone. Emperor Vextar is dead. The galaxy is free." The final battle had taken place 3 months ago. Above the Dominion capital world, 10,000 ships from 30 different species had surrounded the planet. The Emperor had refused to surrender, so they had taken his surrender by force. Chancellor Jiang Minjun, the human leader who had helped write the new Galactic Constitution, stepped forward to speak. "Today, we celebrate not just victory, but the birth of something new," he said. "The Galactic Democratic Confederation will be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people of all species." The new government was very different from the old empire. Instead of one ruler making all decisions, representatives from every species would work together. Instead of taking what they wanted by force, they would ask and negotiate. Ambassador Lee Se-young, who had helped design the new system, explained it to the crowd. "Never again will one species rule over another," she said. "Never again will freedom be something that only the strong can enjoy. From this day forward, freedom belongs to everyone." The ceremony continued for hours. Leaders from every species spoke about the future they would build together. Children who had grown up during the war played games that their parents had never been allowed to play. But the most important moment came when Sojin stood before her father's memorial. "General Kim Tae-ho," she said softly, "your sacrifice was not in vain. The fire you lit with your death has burned away the darkness. The galaxy is free because you chose to die rather than live as a slave." She placed a single flower on the memorial, a flower from Earth, where humans had first learned to dream of the stars. "The Empire thought they could break us by killing one man. Instead, they showed us that one person's courage can change everything. Your death became the galaxy's freedom, Father. Your sacrifice lit the fire that burned away tyranny forever." As the sun set over New Busan, the crowd began to disperse. But the memorial remained a permanent reminder of the price of freedom and the power of one person to change the world. The Dominion Empire had made a simple mistake. They had killed the wrong man in front of the wrong people at the wrong time. That mistake had cost them everything. But their loss had become the galaxy's gain. From the ashes of the old empire rose something better, a confederation of free peoples, united not by fear but by hope. General Kim Tae-ho had died as a prisoner. of the Dominion, but his legacy lived on as the foundation of a new and better galaxy. The war was over, the peace had begun, and it would last for 1,000 years.